The lights in Krylon Station's main bar flickered red and blue, casting strange shadows on the metal walls. Smoke from alien cigarettes filled the air with sweet and bitter smells. Captain Veltar walked through the crowd of mercenaries, his green scales shining under the colored lights. His boots made loud clicks on the metal floor. Veltar was tall even for a Zephyrian. His neck was long like a snake, and his yellow eyes looked around the room. He wore black armor with silver marks that showed his rank. On his belt hung 2 plasma guns and a curved knife. Other aliens in the bar looked at him with respect and fear. The Crimson Talon was the best mercenary group in this part of the galaxy. Veltar had led them to victory in 20 different wars. They had destroyed space pirates, killed rebel leaders, and burned down entire cities. No job was too hard for them. No enemy was too strong. Today, Veltar was meeting a new client. The message had come 3 days ago on a secret channel. The pay was huge, 3 times what they usually got. The job seemed simple enough. Go to a planet called Kepler 442b. Kill some soldiers who were causing trouble. Come back rich. Veltar found his client sitting in a dark corner of the bar. The alien was a hegemony executive, fat, soft, and dressed in expensive clothes. His blue skin was smooth and clean, unlike the battle scars that covered most of the bar's customers. When he saw Veltar coming, he waved a pudgy hand. "Captain Veltar, please sit down," the executive said. His voice was high and nervous. "I am Director Quindal from the Hegemony Mining Corporation. I believe we can help each other." Veltar sat down in the metal chair. It creaked under his weight. "Your message said you have work for us. Dangerous work. The kind that pays well." Director Quindal nodded quickly. Yes, very dangerous. That is why we need the best. We have heard great things about the Crimson Talon." "What's the job?" Veltar asked. The director looked around nervously before speaking. "We have mining operations on Kepler 442b. Very profitable operations. But there is a problem. A small group of soldiers has been interfering with our work. They attack our security teams. They steal our equipment. They make our workers afraid." Veltar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Soldiers? What army are they from? How many?" "Only 4 soldiers," Quindal said. "But they are causing big problems. Our security cannot stop them. That is why we need professionals like you." "4 soldiers?" Veltar laughed. "My crew has 40 fighters. This will be easy money. What species are these soldiers?" Director Quindal's face went pale. He looked down at his hands. They are humans." The word hit the bar like a bomb. Every conversation stopped. Aliens who had been laughing and drinking suddenly went quiet. Even the bar's music seemed to get softer. Veltar felt dozens of eyes looking at him. Humans. Veltar said the word louder. "Did you say humans?" The director nodded. "Yes, human soldiers, but only 4 of them. Surely your 40 fighters can handle 4 primitives." Around them, aliens started to move. A group of Corvan pirates got up from their table and walked away without finishing their drinks. 3 hegemony soldiers paid their bill and left quickly. Even the bartender, a tough old Varaxian with metal arms, shook his head and moved to the other end of the bar. Veltar noticed the strange reaction, but did not understand it. "The pay you mentioned. How much exactly?" 15 million credits, Quindal said, plus bonuses for each confirmed kill. It was 3 times the normal rate for this kind of job. Veltar's eyes went wide. With that much money, his crew could buy better ships, better weapons, maybe even retire to a nice planet somewhere. "Deal," Veltar said. "We will leave tomorrow." But before he could shake hands with the director, a large shadow fell over their table. Veltar looked up to see an old Vraxian warrior standing next to them. The alien was huge, with thick gray skin covered in battle scars. His left arm was missing, replaced by a simple metal hook. One of his eyes was blind and white. "You should not take this job, young captain," the old warrior said. His voice was deep and rough, like grinding rocks. "Excuse me?" Veltar stood up. He was tall, but the Vraxian was taller. "Who are you to give me advice?" My name is Thockamar. I have been fighting wars for 60 years. I have conquered 12 worlds and destroyed 100 ships, but I am telling you, do not fight the humans. Veltar laughed. You are afraid of 4 primitive soldiers? I thought Vraxians were supposed to be brave. Thokmar's good eye stared at Veltar. I lost my arm to a human soldier, my eye too. It was on a planet called Taurus Prime. We had 2,000 warriors. The humans had 50 soldiers. And you lost? Veltar could not believe it. We did not just lose, Thokmar said quietly. We were destroyed. The humans did not just beat us. They made us afraid. They made us run away like scared children. Of the 2,000 Vraxians who went to that planet, only 30 came back. I was one of them. Director Quindal made nervous sounds. But that was just one battle. These are only 4 soldiers. Thokmar looked at the director with disgust. 4 human soldiers are more dangerous than 40 of any other species. Do you know why? Tell me, Veltar said. He was curious now. Because humans do not fight like other species, Thokmar explained. When most aliens are losing, they surrender or run away. When humans are losing, they get angry. They fight harder. They use things that are not weapons as weapons. They turn their own blood into poison if they have to. That sounds like stories to scare children, Veltar said. Thokmar pulled up his shirt. His chest was covered in strange scars that looked like lightning. A human soldier did this to me with a broken power cable. He was dying from 3 plasma shots, but he still found a way to almost kill me. Other aliens in the bar started to gather around their table. Veltar noticed that all of them looked scared when they heard the word human. There are rules in this business, Thokmar continued. 3 important rules that every smart mercenary knows. First, never fight a cornered human. They become twice as dangerous when they have no way out. Second, never think you understand human tactics. They will always surprise you. Third, never ever fight human special forces unless you want to die. Special forces? Veltar asked. Elite human soldiers, Thokmar said. The best of the best. They are trained to fight impossible battles and win. When regular human soldiers are dangerous, special forces are living nightmares. The director spoke up again. But the money! 15 million credits! An old Corvan pirate at the next table laughed bitterly. Money means nothing if you are dead, fool. I once saw a human special forces team destroy an entire hegemony base with nothing but mining tools and kitchen knives. That is impossible, Veltar said. Is it? The pirate asked. Humans see weapons where others see junk. They see tactics where others see chaos. They fight wars in ways that make no sense until you are already losing. More stories started coming from around the bar. Every old warrior seemed to have a tale about humans. Some had fought them. Others had just heard stories. All of them were afraid. Veltar listened to the stories, but he did not believe them. He had fought many species. None of them were special. Humans were just another alien race with good marketing. I thank you for your advice, Veltar said to Thokmar. But the Crimson Talon does not run from fights. We will take this job. Thokmar shook his head sadly. Then you are a fool. But remember my words when you are dying on that planet. Remember that an old warrior tried to save your life. The Vraxian walked away, and the crowd slowly went back to their drinks and conversations. But Veltar noticed that many aliens kept looking at him with pity in their eyes. Director Quindal smiled nervously. So we have a deal? We have a deal, Veltar said. But I want half the money now, the other half when the job is done. Of course. The director transferred the money to Veltar's account. When can you leave? Tomorrow morning, Veltar said. My crew will be ready. As they shook hands, Veltar felt confident. 15 million credits for killing 4 primitive soldiers. It would be the easiest money his crew had ever made. He had no idea how wrong he was. 2 days later, Veltar's ship dropped out of hyperspace near Kepler 442b. The planet looked normal from space, brown and green with white clouds. It had 3 small moons and rings of ice around it. Mining stations floated in orbit like metal insects. Scan for the human soldiers, Veltar ordered his crew. His pilot, a thin Corvan named Zisk, worked at the controls. I found them, Captain. They are at Mining Station 7 on the planet's surface. The station processes rare metals. How many life signs? Veltar asked. 4, just like the client said. All human. Veltar smiled. After hearing all those scary stories at Krylon Station, he had expected something more impressive. 4 soldiers at a small mining station. His crew of 40 warriors would finish this job in an hour. Take us down, he ordered. Land 2 kilometers from the station. We will surround them before they know we are here. The ship landed on a flat area of red dirt and rocks. Kepler 442b had breathable air, but it was thin and cold. The gravity was lighter than most planets, which would make fighting easier for Veltar's crew. Through his binoculars, Veltar studied Mining Station 7. It was a simple place. Metal buildings connected by covered walkways. Large machines dug metals from the ground and loaded them onto transport ships. But today no ships were there. The station looked quiet. "Where are the workers?" asked Grix, Veltar's second-in-command. The client said the human soldiers scared them away. Veltar replied, "That makes our job easier. No innocent people to worry about." Veltar gathered his crew around him. They were a mix of different alien species. Corvans with their sharp claws, Zephyrians like himself with their long necks, and a few hegemony soldiers with heavy armor. All of them carried good weapons and had experience in combat. "Listen carefully," Veltar said. "We have 4 human soldiers hiding in that station. They are probably scared and desperate. We will surround the station and attack from all sides. No one escapes, no prisoners. Kill them all quickly and we can go home rich." The crew nodded and checked their weapons: plasma rifles, energy guns, and explosive grenades. They had enough firepower to destroy a small army. Grix, take 10 fighters and attack from the north. Kes, take 10 more and hit them from the south. I will lead 20 fighters in a direct assault from the west. The east side has a cliff, so they cannot escape that way. As the sun started to rise, Veltar's crew moved into position. They crawled through the rocks and dirt, keeping low so the humans would not see them. Everything was going perfectly. At exactly dawn, Veltar gave the signal to attack. 20 plasma rifles fired at once. The metal walls of the station glowed red where the energy beams hit them. Grix's team charged from the north while Kes attacked from the south. It should have been over in minutes, but nothing happened the way Veltar expected. The first explosion came from under Kes's team. The ground suddenly opened up and swallowed 3 of his fighters. Kes himself was thrown into the air by the blast. He landed hard and did not get up. "What was that?" Veltar shouted into his radio. "Some kind of mine," Grix replied. "They knew we were coming." More explosions followed. The humans had turned the entire area around the station into a trap. Every path, every hiding spot, every piece of cover had been rigged with explosives. But these were not military explosives. They were made from mining equipment, drilling charges, fuel cells, and chemical tanks. Veltar watched in shock as his carefully planned attack turned into chaos. His fighters were running in all directions trying to avoid the explosions. Some were hurt. Others were dead. Then the shooting started. A bright red beam cut through the morning air and hit one of Veltar's fighters in the chest. The Corvan fell, down and did not move. The shot had come from the station's main tower, but Veltar could not see the shooter. "Sniper!" he yelled. "Take cover!" But there was no good cover. The humans had destroyed or booby-trapped every rock and metal piece that could hide someone. Veltar's crew was trapped in the open while an invisible enemy picked them off one by one. Another red beam flashed. Another fighter fell down. Then another. "How is one human killing so many of us?" Grix asked over the radio. "Maybe there is more than one," Veltar replied. But he had scanned the station himself. There were only 4 life signs. The answer came when one of his fighters got close to the station. A small human female jumped out of a doorway and attacked him with nothing but a knife in her bare hands. She was half the size of the alien warrior, but she moved like lightning. Veltar watched through his binoculars as the human woman broke the alien's arm, took his weapon, and shot 2 more fighters before disappearing back into the station. The whole fight took less than 10 seconds. Impossible, Veltar whispered. The explosions were getting worse. A fuel tank exploded and sent flames high into the air. Then another explosion, and another. The humans were not just defending themselves. They were destroying the entire mining station and using it as a weapon. Captain. Grix's voice was full of panic. We have to retreat. We are losing too many fighters. No, Veltar shouted. They are only 4 soldiers. We can beat 4 soldiers. But his crew was already breaking apart. The constant explosions and sniper fire had made them scared and confused. Some fighters were running back toward the ship. Others were trying to find cover that did not exist. That was when Veltar saw him. A human male walked out of the station's main building. He was not very tall, with black hair and dark eyes. He wore simple green clothing with some armor pieces. In his hands was a basic energy rifle, the kind that security guards used. But there was something about the way he moved that made Veltar's blood go cold. The human walked calmly through the explosions and gunfire like he was taking a walk in a park. He did not seem afraid or worried. He looked focused. The human raised his rifle and started shooting, but he was not shooting randomly. Every shot hit exactly where he aimed. One fighter fell down, then another, then another. He is just one soldier. Veltar screamed into his radio. Kill him! 5 of his fighters charged at the human from different directions. The human saw them coming and smiled. It was not a happy smile. What happened next would give Veltar nightmares for the rest of his life. The human did not run away or hide. Instead, he dropped his rifle and pulled out 2 small devices. Veltar realized they were mining tools. Simple. Metal cutters used to slice through rock. The first alien fighter reached the human and swung a big energy sword at his head. The human ducked under the swing and touched the alien's leg with one of the mining tools. The tool cut through the alien's armor like it was paper. The fighter screamed and fell down. The second fighter tried to shoot the human with a plasma gun. The human rolled to the side and threw one of his metal cutters. It spun through the air and hit the fighter in the throat. The alien dropped his gun and fell backward. The third fighter was smarter. He stayed back and tried to shoot the human from a distance. But the human picked up a piece of broken metal and threw it like a spear. The metal piece hit the fighter's gun and knocked it out of his hands. Before the fighter could pick up his weapon, the human was on him. They fought hand to hand, but it was not really a fight. The human moved like water, always in the right place at the right time. In seconds, the fighter was on the ground. The 4th and 5th fighters attacked together. The human grabbed a broken piece of mining equipment, a heavy metal bar, and used it like a club. He hit one fighter in the head and knocked him out. Then he spun around and hit the other fighter in the stomach. All 5 alien warriors were down. The human had beaten them using nothing but mining tools and broken metal. Veltar could not believe what he had seen. This was not how battles were supposed to work. The human should have been dead 10 times over. Captain? Grix's voice was weak over the radio. I am hurt bad. We have lost 23 fighters. We need to leave now. Veltar looked around at his remaining crew. They were scared and beaten. Many were hurt. Some were already running back to the ship. The human male was still standing in the middle of the battlefield. He picked up his rifle and looked directly at Veltar. Even from a distance, Veltar could see the human's dark eyes. They were calm and cold, like a predator studying its prey. Then the human did something that made Veltar's heart stop. He waved. It was not a friendly wave. It was the kind of wave that said, I see you, and I am not afraid of you. Retreat, Veltar shouted. Everyone back to the ship, now. His crew did not need to be told twice. They ran toward their ship as fast as they could. Behind them, more explosions shook the ground. The humans were making sure that anyone who wanted to chase them would have a hard time. As Veltar's ship lifted off from the planet, he looked back at Mining Station 7. Black smoke rose from the destroyed buildings. His crew was quiet and scared. Many of them were hurt. Some would never fight again. Captain, Grick said from his medical bed. What do we tell the client? Veltar did not answer. He was thinking about the human soldier who had waved at him. The human had not looked like a monster or a superhuman warrior. He had looked like an ordinary person. But ordinary people did not fight the way he had fought. Ordinary people did not turn mining tools into deadly weapons. Ordinary people did not smile when they were outnumbered 10-1. Captain? Grix asked again. We tell him the truth, Veltar said quietly. We tell him that we failed. As the ship jumped to hyperspace, Veltar realized something that made him feel sick. The humans had not just beaten his crew. They had made it look easy, and there were still 3 more human soldiers that he had not even seen fight. 3 weeks after the disaster on Kepler 442b, Veltar sat in a dark corner of Nexus Station's lowest level. His scales had lost their shine, and his yellow eyes looked tired and scared. The bandages around his chest were still fresh from the medical bay. Word of his failure had spread through the mercenary networks like fire. The great Captain Veltar, who had never lost a battle, had been beaten by 4 human soldiers. Other mercenary crews laughed at him. Clients stopped calling. His reputation was destroyed. But Veltar could not forget what he had seen on that planet. The way the humans had fought was not normal. It was not possible. He needed to understand what had happened to him. Grick sat across from him at the metal table. His friend's arm was in a medical cast, and he walked with a crutch now. Of the 40 fighters who had gone to Kepler 442b, only 17 had come back. Some were dead. Others were hurt so badly they could never fight again. We should leave this place, Grick said quietly. Find a quiet planet somewhere. Maybe start a small business. Forget about being mercenaries. I cannot forget, Veltar replied. I keep seeing that human's face, the way he smiled when my fighters attacked him, like he knew exactly what would happen. Maybe we should try to forget, Grick suggested. Some things are better left alone. But Veltar could not let it go. He had heard whispers in the bars and markets of Nexus Station. Other mercenaries spoke in quiet voices about similar defeats. There were stories of entire armies running away from small groups of human soldiers. Tales of space pirates who refused jobs if humans were involved. I heard something today, Veltar said. There is a place on level 5 where people meet, people who have fought humans and survived. Grix looked worried. That sounds dangerous. What if it is a trap? A trap by who? Other mercenaries who are as broken as we are? That night, Veltar made his way to level 5 of Nexus Station. This was the forgotten part of the station where old ships were repaired and people who wanted to hide came to live. The lights were dim and many of them were broken. He found the meeting place behind an old ship repair shop. It was a small room with metal walls and cheap plastic chairs arranged in a circle. About 20 aliens sat in the chairs, but none of them looked at each other. They all stared at the floor or the walls. Veltar recognized some faces. There was Commander Thixanal, who used to lead the Iron Claw Battalion, Captain Rezok, whose crew had conquered the Vega system, General Crixton, a legendary hegemony officer who had won 50 battles. All of them looked broken. All of them looked afraid. You must be the Zephyrian who lost his crew on Kepler 442b, said an old Vraxian female. She had scars across her face and was missing 2 fingers. I am Dr. Velcara. I run these meetings. What kind of meetings are these? Veltar asked. Support meetings, she replied. For people who have encountered human special forces and lived to talk about it. Please sit down. Veltar took an empty chair. The other aliens still did not look at him directly, but he could feel them watching him from the corners of their eyes. We have a new member today, Dr. Velcara announced. Would anyone like to share their story first? A small Corvan male raised his hand. His voice shook when he spoke. My name is Jixtar. 3 months ago, my pirate crew tried to raid a human transport ship. We thought it would be easy money. What happened? Dr. Velcara asked gently. There were only 2 human soldiers on the transport. 2. We had 30 pirates with military weapons. But somehow those two humans turned our own ship against us. They used our life support system to make poison gas. They turned our gravity controls into weapons. By the time we surrendered, half my crew was dead, and the other half was begging for mercy. Other aliens in the circle nodded sadly. They had heard similar stories before. The worst part, Jixtar continued, was that the humans let us live. They could have killed all of us, but they chose not to. They wanted us to go back and tell other pirates what happens when you attack human ships. General Crixton spoke next. He was a huge hegemony officer with thick blue skin and 4 arms. I commanded 10,000 soldiers in the Battle of Rigel. Sifton, we were fighting human colonial forces. Intelligence said they had maybe 500 soldiers. How many did they really have? Dr. Velcara asked. 500, Crixton replied. But it did not matter. They did not fight like any army I had ever seen. They appeared from nowhere, hit us hard, then disappeared. They used our own supply lines against us. They turned our vehicles into bombs. They made us afraid of shadows. The general's 4 hands shook as he spoke. My 10,000 soldiers became so scared that they started shooting at each other in the dark. The humans did not defeat us with weapons. They defeated us with fear. Captain, Rezok told his story next. I tried to capture a human research station with my fleet. 12 warships against 1 small station. The humans had maybe 20 people total, including scientists and engineers. Let me guess, said another alien. You lost. Worse than lost, Rezok replied. The humans turned their research equipment into the most deadly weapons I have ever seen. They used their gravity experiments to crush 3 of my ships. They used their energy research to create new types of plasma beams. When we finally retreated, they were still inventing new ways to kill us. Story after story followed. Each one was different, but they all had the same ending. Professional soldiers, experienced pirates, and elite military units all defeated by small groups of humans who fought in ways that seemed impossible. Why do they fight so strangely? Veltar finally asked. Other species follow military rules. Humans seem to ignore all rules. Dr. Velcara nodded. That is exactly right. Most species have rules about how wars should be fought. Humans have only one rule: win at any cost. But that cannot be all, Veltar said. There must be something else. An old hegemony intelligence officer named Kixmal spoke up. There is something else. I have access to classified military files. Files that most governments do not want their people to see. What kind of files? Several aliens asked at once. The Terran files, Kixmal said quietly. Secret reports about human military capabilities. Every major government in the galaxy has them, but they are marked as too dangerous for normal access. What do they say? Veltar asked. Kixmal looked around the room nervously. They say that what we think of as human soldiers are not even their best fighters. The ones we have been fighting are just regular troops. Their special forces are something completely different. The room went very quiet. Everyone leaned forward to listen. According to the files, Kixmal continued, human special forces are not just soldiers. They are trained from childhood to fight impossible battles. They are taught to see weapons in everything around them. They are conditioned to never give up, no matter how bad things get. That sounds like propaganda, someone said. Maybe, Kixmal replied. But the files also contain battle records, video recordings of human special forces in action. I have seen some of them. What did you see? Dr. Velcara asked. Kixmal's hands shook. I saw a single human soldier hold off 1,000 enemy troops for 6 hours using nothing but broken rocks and metal scraps. I saw a human medic fight more fiercely to save one wounded soldier than most armies fight to conquer worlds. I saw human prisoners escape from a prison that was supposed to be impossible to break out of. How? Veltar asked. They used their own blood to short-circuit the electronic locks, Kixmal said. Then they used pieces of their prison uniforms to make ropes. They turned their food trays into weapons and their bedsheets into armor. In 2 days, they had not only escaped, but also freed every other prisoner in the facility. Commander Thixnell laughed bitterly. And we thought we were dangerous because we had good weapons and training. The files say something else that is even more frightening, Kicksmall added. Human special forces do not just fight to win battles. They fight to make sure that no one will ever want to fight them again. Every battle is psychological warfare designed to create fear and respect. That explains why they let survivors live, Jixatar said. They want us to go back and tell others what happened. Exactly, Dr. Velkara agreed. Humans understand that. The best battle is the one you never have to fight. If everyone is too afraid to challenge them, they win without firing a shot. Veltar thought about the human soldier who had waved at him on Kepler 442b. At the time, he had thought it was arrogance. Now he understood it was a message. I see you. I am not afraid of you, and you should be afraid of me. How many species know about this? Veltar asked. All the major governments know, Kicksmall replied, but they do not tell their people. Can you imagine what would happen if every alien in the galaxy knew how dangerous humans really are? There would be panic. Some species might try to attack Earth before humans get too strong. Others might surrender immediately. So they keep it secret, Dr. Velkara said. But people like us learn the truth the hard way. The meeting continued. For another hour, more stories were shared. More frightening details about human capabilities were discussed. When it was over, Veltar felt worse than when he had arrived. As the aliens filed out of the room, Dr. Velkara stopped Veltar at the door. You are thinking about trying again, or not you? She asked. How did you know? Because that is what we all think at first. We tell ourselves that now we know their tricks, we can beat them. We make plans for revenge. And? Veltar asked. And those of us who try again either end up dead or back in this room with even worse stories to tell. She put a gentle hand on his arm. Take my advice. Find a new line of work. The galaxy is big enough for both humans and the rest of us, as long as we do not get in their way. But as Veltar walked back to his quarters, he could not stop thinking about those 4 human soldiers. Somewhere out there they were probably still fighting, still winning battles that should be impossible to win. And despite everything he had learned, despite all the warnings and scary stories, part of him still wanted to try again. Part of him still believed that with better planning and more fighters, he could succeed where so many others had failed. That part of him was about to make a very dangerous mistake. 6 months after the support group meeting, Veltar stood on the bridge of a stolen warship in the asteroid belt around Kepler 442b. This time, he was not alone. He had spent everything he owned to hire the most desperate mercenaries in the galaxy. 200 fighters from 12 different species, 3 warships with heavy weapons, orbital bombing equipment that could destroy entire cities. This time will be different, Veltar told himself for the 100th time. His new crew was not like his old one. These aliens were criminals, outcasts, and killers who had nothing left to lose. They did not ask questions about the target. They just wanted to get paid and hurt something. Captain, said his new pilot, a scarred Corvan named Vexic, we have found the human base. It is built inside a large asteroid. Scanners show 8 life signs now. 8 humans instead of 4. Veltar smiled coldly. Perfect. More targets for target practice. Through his ship's cameras, Veltar could see the asteroid base. The humans had carved tunnels and rooms inside a huge floating rock. Solar panels and communication dishes stuck out from the surface like metal flowers. All ships prepare for attack, Veltar ordered. We will start with orbital bombardment. Turn that asteroid into dust. No survivors this time. But before his ships could fire, something strange happened. The asteroids around them started to move. Captain, Vexic said nervously, the asteroids are changing position. That should not be possible. Veltar looked at his scanner. Dozens of large rocks were slowly moving into new positions around his fleet. It was like they were forming a trap. How are they doing that? Asked Grix, who had come with Veltar despite his injuries. The answer came over their communication system. A calm human voice spoke in perfect galactic standard. This is Lieutenant Hyunwoo Kim of the Human Special Forces. You are Captain Veltar, correct? Veltar's blood went cold. It was the same human who had waved at him 6 months ago. How Do you know my name? We have been expecting you, Lieutenant Hyunwoo replied. Master Sergeant Youngmin Seo predicted you would come back with more ships and fighters. He calculated exactly when you would arrive and how you would attack. Impossible, Veltar said. We planned this attack in secret. Did you? The human asked. You hired mercenaries from Nexus Station, bought weapons from the black market on Titan 7, and stole ships from the Corvin shipyards. We have been watching you for months. Veltar felt panic rising in his chest. You are bluffing. You cannot know all that. Technical Specialist Hana Jung would like to show you something, Lieutenant Hyunwoo said. Suddenly, all of Veltar's ship systems started acting strangely. The lights flickered. The engines made weird noises. The weapon controls stopped responding. What is happening? Veltar shouted at his crew. The human is controlling our ship, Vexic replied. She has hacked into our main computer. Over the radio, a new human voice spoke. It was a young woman who sounded almost bored. Hello, Captain Veltar. This is Technical Specialist Hana Jung. I have been inside your computer system since you entered this star system. Your security is very bad. That is impossible, Veltar said. Our computers are military grade. Military grade from 20 years ago, Hana replied. I learned how to break these systems when I was 12 years old. Do you want to see what else I can do? The lights in Veltar's ship went out completely. Then they came back on, but now they were flashing in patterns that hurt to look at. The artificial gravity turned off and on rapidly, making everyone float and then slam back down. Stop this, Veltar demanded. As you wish, Hana said. Everything went back to normal. That was just a small demonstration. I can do much worse if you make me angry. Lieutenant Hyunwoo's voice returned. Now you understand your situation. We control your ships, your weapons, and your life support systems. But we are not unreasonable people. We will give you a choice. What choice? Veltar asked. You can surrender now and leave this system alive. Or you can continue this attack and learn why the galaxy fears human special forces. Veltar looked around his bridge. His crew was scared, but they were also angry. They had been hired to fight, and they wanted their money. We did not come here to surrender, Veltar shouted. We came here to kill you. All ships, attack the asteroid base. Very well, Lieutenant Hyunwoo said sadly. Master Sergeant Youngmin, please show them what happens to people who threaten human lives. What happened next would become a legend among mercenaries across the galaxy. The asteroids that had been slowly moving around Veltar's fleet suddenly accelerated. But they did not just fly randomly. They moved in perfect coordination like dancers performing a deadly ballet. Impossible, Vexic screamed. Asteroids cannot move like that. They can if someone has placed engines on them, Grix said quietly. The humans have turned the entire asteroid field into a weapon. The first asteroid hit Veltar's second ship. The impact was not random. It struck exactly where the ship's engines were located. The ship lost power and started spinning helplessly through space. The second asteroid hit the third ship's weapon systems. Explosions rippled across its hull as its own ammunition exploded. How did they know exactly where to hit us? Veltar asked. Over the radio, a new human voice answered. It was older and deeper than the others. This is Master Sergeant Youngmin, Sio. We know where to hit you because we studied your ship designs for months. We know every weakness, every vulnerable point, every system that can be disabled. More asteroids struck Veltar's fleet, but these were not trying to destroy the ships completely. They were carefully damaging specific systems, weapons, engines, life support, and communications. It was surgical precision on a massive scale. They are not trying to kill us, Grix realized. They are taking us apart piece by piece. Why? Veltar asked. Because dead mercenaries cannot go home and tell others what they saw, Master Sergeant Youngmin replied over the radio. We want you alive so you can spread the word about what happens when people attack human special forces. Veltar's own ship shuddered as a small asteroid struck its main cannon. The weapon exploded in a shower of sparks and metal. More asteroids followed, each one hitting exactly where it would cause the most damage without killing the crew. This is not a battle, Veltar said in horror. This is a demonstration. Exactly, Lieutenant Hyunwoo said. You brought 200 fighters and 3 warships to kill 8 human soldiers. We are showing you why that was never going to work. Through his ship's cameras, Veltar could see the human asteroid base. Small figures in spacesuits were floating around it, making adjustments to the engines that controlled the asteroid weapons. They moved calmly and efficiently like mechanics fixing a broken machine. You turned an entire asteroid field into a weapon, Veltar said. How long did this take? About 3 weeks, technical specialist Hana replied. We had plenty of time, while you were gathering your fleet. We used mining equipment to hollow out the asteroids and install engines. Simple engineering, really. Simple? Veltar could not believe what he was hearing. You moved mountains. We moved rocks, Master Sergeant Youngman corrected. Humans have been moving rocks since before we learned to use fire. The only difference is that now we can move them in space. By now, all 3 of Veltar's ships were disabled. They floated helplessly in space while the human-controlled asteroids circled them like predators around wounded prey. Your fleet is neutralized, Lieutenant Hyunwoo announced. Your weapons are destroyed, your engines are offline, but you are all still alive. Do you understand why? You want us to go home and tell others what we saw, Veltar said quietly. Correct. You will tell them that 8 human Special Forces soldiers defeated 200 mercenaries without breaking a sweat. You will tell them that we turned their own environment against them. You will tell them that fighting humans is not just dangerous. It is pointless. Veltar felt something break inside him. It was not just his pride or his reputation. It was his entire understanding of how the universe worked. He had spent his whole life believing that the strongest, most well-armed force would always win. The humans had just proved him completely wrong. How? He asked. How are you so good at this? Lieutenant Hyunwoo's voice became serious. Because we have to be. Humans are not the strongest species in the galaxy. We are not the fastest or the smartest, but we are the most determined. When other species give up, we keep fighting. When others see problems, we see opportunities. When others follow rules, we write new ones. But why? Veltar asked. Why do you fight so hard? There was a long pause before the human answered. Because if we do not fight for what we believe in, who will? Every human soldier knows that somewhere. Behind them are families, friends, and innocent people who depend on them. We do not fight for glory or money. We fight because someone has to, and we have decided that someone is us. The words hit Veltar harder than any weapon. All his life, he had fought for money, reputation, and power. He had never fought for anything bigger than himself. Your ships have enough life support to reach the nearest space station, Master Sergeant Youngmin said. We have also transferred coordinates for medical facilities where your wounded can receive treatment. You have 24 hours to leave this system. And if we do not leave, Veltar asked.